it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right. With diet-free life, it helps futures lose pride.
Hello, everyone. This is Roberto Lorenzo, Robert Ferguson, and this is Diet Free Life. And I want to say thank you for giving me some time. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to pour into you and share information that I believe can help you in your journey to live a diet-free life, to optimize personal well-being and health, to get re-motivated, to be inspired, to not give up, and to do what we say all the time in my space or when we're coaching people is to stay the course. Even when it looks like things aren't going to work out as well, if you are doing the right things, and I think you can use discernment, and oftentimes our gut will tell us, right? You can feel if it's the right thing, then usually it works out. Not always, but well, actually it does always work out, because even when you go down a path that's not going to probably work out in the long term, eventually you wake up because you're looking for the truth, right? And you may have gone down a path that wasn't going to work, but you realize that, and then we pivot. And when you pivot, you're staying the course. You realize, okay, that wasn't ideal what I was doing, so I'm going to pivot. And then eventually you do work your way to what I would say success. And in my opinion, and it's just my opinion, right? Because there's a whole bunch of opinions out there. When it comes to losing weight, when it comes to improving your health, in my opinion, if you stay humble and stay open-minded and realize that it's okay to get help, then I believe success is inevitable for all of us. And so today is our follow-up with Miss Lisa Marie, who, she just put it out there. She said, look, I want to be transparent about this, Robert. I want to talk about my weight loss journey. And remember, she's also a nutritionist. She is a coach. So she knows nutrition. She helps people with nutrition, right? But she's also a human being. And she's my friend. And so when we were talking, she says, Robert, would you work with me? Right. So I said, of course, I love working with Lisa Marie. She's great. And so she's given me the opportunity to pour back into her and be her coach and get her to where she wants to be. Because, as she said, and as I share all the time, we can all be helped by having someone in our corner, right? It's great to have a second set of eyes and a second set of ears and someone that can kind of like pour into you. And she's humble, because let me tell you, we could do a whole few hours and I could share all kinds of stories about people that I've coached that have no humility. And I know for a fact that, and it's unfortunate this is the case, but their lack of humility will stop them, will block them from ever being successful in losing the weight. They'll have temporary progress, but they won't keep it off. They just don't have the humility, right? And they'll go from one diet to the next diet. And I really don't want to spend much more time talking about that, because that's the negative Nancy side of things, because we have some exciting news to share with you with Lisa's update. I'm telling you, man, when you make a decision to improve, I do believe that opposition shows up. There's going to be some type of adversity. That's just the way it is. It's a principle. But when you stay the course and you do what Lisa Marie is doing, you know what? Success is going to meet you halfway. So without further delay, let's bring her on. What's up, Lisa Marie? For the big update. Actually, you have like a, I don't know, it's a updated energy glow from the last time we had our online transparent coaching session.
Well, thank you. Today feels like a much better day than the past week and even yesterday. So
nice.
Yeah.
Now, so let's give them a little bit of a recap for people who may be catching us for the first time, and that is, so I'll start it and then you fill in all the gaps. Okay.
All right.
Is 7-8 months ago, you're like waking up saying, you know what, I've gained some weight, things are not going in the right direction. I got to do something. And for some reason, you know what to do. You know nutrition. You're making certain meals and doing what we teach people, but the weight's not coming off.
Right.
You're like just stuck. And then it leads up to where we did our first, transparent coaching session a week ago, everybody. So now go ahead and fill in what I didn't share, and then we'll bring people up to date.
Yeah. So I was stuck at 134, 135. I went from 110 pounds to 135 in a year, which is a lot of weight. A lot of people are, don't see that as a lot of weight at 135, but to go from 110 to 135 in a year is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And struggling with knowing what to do, but why can't I take off this weight? Why can I help other people do it, but I can't do it myself? And just being stuck in that mental space of, I'll figure it out. I'll do it on my own. I know what to do. And then, I had my moments a week ago, and everything kind of shifted. And, we got good news though.
You have great news, but can we stay there just for a second? I would love to, because there's a lot of people who feel that they know, and Monday is going to be the new day.
Right.
And next thing you know, 52 Mondays have gone by, and they're still not moving forward, right? They're just stuck.
Right.
Even when you were stuck and you knew what to do, did you ever think about taking a shortcut? Like, what, I'm just going to try this trending diet. Like, I'm just going to go keto, or did you ever think about that at all?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie. I did. I even had, when I went to see my doctor, who, I got all my blood work done, checking my hormone levels, checking, all these different things. And she offered me a GLP-1. She said, you can do, I can get you a GLP-1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. They just hand it out like candy.
Of course, and, of course I said no to that, because I understand all of the side effects and I was already dealing with gut issues. I was already dealing with a lot of gut, a lot of acid reflux.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, well, maybe maybe I just need to do something. It's not that. I think I said in the last video was that I was even looking around at other people and trying to conform. I'm watching some people around me who've lost a lot of weight, And I'm like, well, maybe I just need to kind of like stop eating, maybe I have to stop, doing this or that. Like, but I had this struggle in my head the whole time because I knew that that wasn't the way. I knew that I could eat all of those foods. I knew I didn't have to stay away from anything. You know, but I think for me personally, and I can share now or I can share later, is like I had this epiphany this morning because I think that with we talk about it too. We talk about it with our clients. We talk about it amongst ourselves as coaches. Is that there's a psychological part, right, to weight gain, and now I'm even seeing like weight loss because I lost a lot this week. I did really good this week amongst everything else that I was dealing with. And I think that the epiphany that I had was, it started with the other day, a friend of mine sent me one of those meme videos. And it was, "You're a strong woman," right? And it was like two women like dancing out in the rain and like, "You're a strong woman." And I might get emotional, but that brought me to tears. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Was it one of those moments where...
It was one of those moments where you realize that, like, well, in that moment when she sent that, I didn't feel strong. I felt weak. And I'm a crier. Like, when the truth comes out, I can't help it. I cry. But she said, so I was like, man, why am I crying over this? And I think it was because I felt so weak. And then yesterday I had a conversation with a friend of mine.
Okay, let me see. So
can you hear me? Are we frozen?
Here. Okay. Oh. There you go. We had a little bumper there. I don't know what happened.
And then last night, I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and she just listened, right? Like, she didn't judge. She just listened. She didn't try and fix anything for me. She just listened. And I realized that, like, and I was able to just be vulnerable, right? And I was, when somebody asks me, "Are you okay?" I always say, "Yeah, I'm okay." And because I think I've grown up having to be the strong one. And so if I can't figure it out or I can't do it, like, I feel weak. And this week has been just like eye-opening in that way, because I'm like, how the freak am I losing this weight? How did I struggle for so long? And now, it's just coming off of me. And this morning I woke up and I read my Bible. I opened up my Bible and I was reading, and in the middle of reading it, I stopped and I kind of had this epiphany. And I realized that, so a week ago Saturday, and I hope you don't mind if I share this, but
no,
it's the truth. A week ago Saturday, I was just in a bad space. I was sick. I was dealing with a cold, a virus. I was sick. And you had messaged me, "Hey, it's your friend Robert, remember me?" And, blah, blah, blah. And I responded back to you. I was sitting on a dock and I responded back to you. And I'm like, "Yeah, hey, I'm great," right? I wasn't great. Even in that moment, I wasn't great. I didn't know what was going on, but I wasn't great. But I said I was.
Right.
But then I also said to you, I have to go for an endoscopy. I'm having all these gut issues, blah, but, whatever, everything's good. And I think that even like having to go for that endoscopy or the colonoscopy and, you know, all of these oscopies, it was really weighing on me. And I was, you know, scared, right? Because I was having all of these digestive issues. So like in my head, my anxiety was just overwhelming. Like it was, something's wrong with you. And so, you know, I responded back to you with that, you know, I have to go for an endoscopy and whatever. And you responded back with a link to your article and the whole gut thing. And I snapped on you. And I said, you know what would be nice if you just said, you know, instead of trying to sell me on something, you just said, you know, I don't remember what I said, but I knew that I was like, why are you sending me this? I'm telling you this. I don't need, you know, I couldn't communicate that to you. I couldn't say, you know, but I reacted. And I realized that I react because I hold stuff in. And I was like, in that moment, I needed, you know, like my friend Robert, I didn't need an article. And I said that to you. And then you came back to me and you said, I'm sorry. You know, I was just sharing because I realized it was kind of, that article was what I was going through. But in that moment, I didn't want, you know, I just needed you to say, you know what, it's going to be okay. And when you said, I'm sorry, and you're right, and, you know, how are you doing? It was when I said, I'm not good. Like that was, I think, the first time in a very long time that I'm like, I'm not good. And I can't get rid of this weight. And they've got all of this shit going on. And we spoke. And I said, I need your help. And so I say that because I think in realizing that, you know, like I realized that it's like you hold stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're holding that stuff in, you know, like whatever it is, it's just mounting and mounting and mounting. And for me, it was just like my body was getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's nothing I could do until I think like finally I stopped trying to be so strong and saying, no, like things are not okay. And even though I should know how to get myself through this, I need your help. And honestly, I think that, you know, along with sticking to like, because it kind of kept me focused all week, right? Sticking to my plan and, you know, making different choices and, you know, is definitely like the whole thing. But I also think that it was me saying, okay, and realizing that, you know what, I can't always say I'm okay when I'm not okay, because then
Mm-hmm.
things just kind of go haywire and whatnot. So, you know, I think it all ties. I'm kind of realizing that everything kind of like ties in together. That makes sense.
Amen. Yeah. Well, you know, before you came on, and what I was saying, like, for those who don't know Lisa, she's very strong individual. And when I say very strong individuals, like you speak the truth, and you're that person that if someone is in a fight, you're not running. You know what I mean? Like that's just the person that you are, and you're a great friend to anyone. So I can see how, and you're always the one that steps up. But and I know a lot of women and men, people feel like they're in that same place. But what you have demonstrated that many of them they haven't tapped into is humility. Like I keep saying it, and I don't know if it's going over people's head or I'm not explaining it right. But I believe that when you're humble and you're okay with asking for help, that's when I think the universe, if you will, comes together and it opens up doors. Because how is it that right, with your weight, if we just looked at the scale weight, if you're 134 pounds, you get down to 131, you're kind of like you're stuck for 8 months, 10 months, year. And it's almost like you surrender and say, okay, all right, Robert, coach me. Let's do this. I'm ready. And then boom, you wake up a week later and you're 125.5 pounds.
Yeah.
I think sometimes, and I know this like through the work of Norman Cousins, he demonstrated with a lot of science that depending on where your stress levels are and where you're fighting yourself mentally, we know it can slow down digestion. Food digests slower. So we know that the metabolism can be hindered from just where you are from a mental state.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, a lot of times people don't talk about that part. But then having a second set of eyes, having some accountability, we're going to check in. And now you open it up to everybody to watch your story as you go back to where you most want to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think is commendable, and it speaks volumes. And I haven't had a chance to share this with you because I wanted to share it when we got caught up. But I had 3 people that were my client, and they stopped working with me for whatever reason. Everybody has a reason, right? And they watched our talk, and now they're back.
Well, that's awesome.
Okay, and more importantly, check this out. And I'm sure they wouldn't mind if I mention their names because they're people that you know. 4 coaches that are like you, that teach nutrition, etc., also contacted me after our conversation. So you're inspiring people, right? and you're inspiring them because like one of them called me and she goes, Robert, I was watching and listening to you and Lisa talk, and I got to tell you something. I go, what's that? She goes, I have put on some weight. And I said, yeah. She goes, I just needed to hear that. And I want to get back to working with you. And this is the coach. She says, so can we pick back up and then you start coaching me again? And I said, that would be great. And she goes, I know I feel so stupid. Like, oh, these are her words. And it'd be good to hear you talk about this, right? Because she was saying, I feel so stupid that I put back on this weight. I feel embarrassed about it. And she just started beating herself up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm there and I'm listening. But you can relate because that's exactly what you've been sharing.
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on that? And what's some words of wisdom you can share back to those who are coaches who find themselves gaining some weight back, getting off track? And I don't know. And do you believe that I'm on point when I say humility is a big part of this?
I do. I think that's even like one of the things that I'm learning, right? And I think that like for all of the coaches, I don't know, I can't say for them, but I can say like for myself, it's like you feel like I have all of this knowledge. I know it works. And I was even like, I found myself like not even like, like even though I want to coach, right? And because I love helping and supporting other people, what I was telling myself in my head was like, you can't do this. Like, like those like negative thoughts in my head is like, like you can't even do it yourself. So like you're a fraud. You know what I mean? Like I like, and it's not, but that's why I say it, like, even like coming down to just me being like, okay, and just laying it out like, okay, I'm struggling, like, and realizing like I don't have to, I might have information, I may know how it does, but like it's okay to say, hey, this isn't working for me right now. I don't know what's going on, but can you help me? I don't, you know, like, I think as coaches and probably, you know, whether it's health or any other industry, I think we're all human. And I think that, you know, it's always easier, I think, for us to help somebody else, right? And coach somebody else, like, do as I say, not as I do, type of, you know, a thing. I don't know. I just knew for myself that I just kind of, you know what, I just need to be open and honest, right? Like, no, I'm not okay. No, like, what I'm doing to my body and gaining all this weight, it's not okay. And I need help.
See, I love that. I love everything that you're saying, because if the world could get to a place where we could all just be honest, right? Like, and what I mean by that is when someone asks that question, "Hey, how you doing?" It'd be great if we were just honest. You can go, "I'm not doing too good right now," right? And you have that moment, and you say it like that. A lot of people look at you and they don't really know how to respond to that, because we're so used to one, lying when we're not feeling good,
Right.
and not wanting to put what we're going through on other people.
Right.
But this one radio DJ I used to listen to all the time, Tom Likas was his name, and I thought he was just hilarious. And what would happen is people would call in. He go, "Hey, welcome to the Tom Likas radio show," and then people would come in and say, "Hey, Tom, how's it going?" And his response was, "Do you really care?" And some people go, and they wouldn't even respond to that question because they don't really care.
Right.
Everyone's thinking about what they want to talk about and what they want to share, that they're not even hearing us when we ask for help.
Right. And then we
And
want to just be silent and take it all in.
yes, and just keep it moving,
Right.
right? And just deal with it. But again, when you show strength and you do what you've done, then I think that's great. Now, we had a comment. You know this amazing lady right here?
Yeah, my mom.
Okay.
I can't see it to read it. I can't see any comment.
I'll read it. She says it's Barbara. And hello, Barbara. It's great to meet the mom of this amazing lady. But she says she is strong, talking about Lisa Marie, and my beautiful daughter. I can relate. I say I'm okay when deep down I'm not. I've learned a few things on diet and issues that I need help with. Yes, she does inspire.
Well, thank you, Mom.
And then we have JD. You're in the mindset to lose it, as well as following what works. Yeah, and you know what? I want to bring up something you shared in our first time doing this a week ago. And you said that you were spending time around a bunch of people that weren't doing what you knew was the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something that kind of pulls you into it, to doing what they're doing, even though you know that's not the right thing. And then you said, and you can, it'd be great if you comment on that. And then you said that this time, and as we move forward, Robert, you said, I am going to do what I know is true. I don't care what everybody else is doing. If it's time to eat a fat burning meal, I'm eating a fat burning meal. Okay.
Yes.
So it's like, I mean, because is it peer pressure? Like, talk a little bit about that.
No, I don't think it's not peer pressure, and it's had really nothing to do with anybody else. Right. I think like what it had to do was how I was feeling about myself. Right. So I was feeling fat. I was feeling bloated. I was feeling stuck in my head. I was feeling, I had constant acid reflux, which just makes you feel like crap, right? Like it was constant. And I was just like, because I think like a part of me, like, and I saw just everybody around me like happy, right? And even like the people, you know, like everybody was happy, but I was like suffering so much inside because of my at at that time, like it was my weight, right? Like it was, I didn't feel good inside my body. And so I wanted to feel like, you know, like when you're looking around everybody, I want to feel like that. Or, you know, like, I mean, and then there are people that like, they don't get, they're just having a great time and they're just eating and doing, and, you know, it doesn't matter, you know, and they're just fine in their body. And like, so it's like, even that, like, it was, I was just so stuck in my head. Had, you know, it had nothing to do with peer pressure. It had nothing to do with, none of those people, like nobody around me knew that I was even struggling with that.
Right.
So it was just like my observations and staying in my head. Right. And so like, I was just like, well, you know, like, because one thing as like a coach, right, I'm always looking at things like that's fat burning or that's fat storing. I'm constantly saying that to myself. And so like, even like I knew that what's funny is that with, you know, some people I was observing, they were eating fat burning meals. Not that they understood what that meant, like, but I knew that they were eating fat burning meals. Like I knew that they were also like eating smaller portions, right? I knew that I don't know that I don't know how to explain it like as a coach, because like, you know, and then there's other people, it's like, well, then that, you know, they're eating all that, but then they're doing this or that. And I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. It wasn't, there was no sense of like peer pressure. Nobody
Right.
knew what I was struggling with. It was me stuck in my head. And I think that caused a lot of stress. And I think that until I was finally able to kind of admit it, I just kept holding on to like stress. Like I went from, I don't know, like we didn't talk about it, but I went from, on October 2nd, I was 134 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
When I sent you my numbers, I was 131. I was close, I was 27.8, I was close to 28% body fat. And when I said I needed help, and then just, you know, like you said, pivoted and went down this other path, I'm down to 125 pounds
Mm-hmm.
and that was like 8 days, you know. And then I had, you know, some of like my old clients saying like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like I didn't do that good. I didn't lose that much that fast. And so that was like the other part of me, I think, like why I'm even saying that. I think like it was a lot of stress, emotional baggage, feelings that I was holding in that I was not sharing. Afraid, you know, trying to be strong, but scared to be weak. And it was, I couldn't, I was just holding on to it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, you know, and I kept saying like, you can't don't compare what is happening to me right now in a week. Like, I know, like, I can't even, honestly, I don't even understand it. But I said, it hasn't taken me, it's not just a week. You know, I coached you through that time and you did amazing, right? And you
Right.
lost the 5 pounds, like you reached your goal that you wanted to reach. You lost the body fat, you lost the weight, your skeletal mass increased, right? And you reached that goal when we were working together. It may not have been like, I think like some people expect like 1 pound a week is great. And people expect like to lose a lot more. And I said, like, this isn't something that just happens in a week. I've been trying to get this weight off for 7 or 8 months. You know, so like what you see happening right now in a week, you know, I don't know. I
No,
can't.
I mean, no, you're making total sense, and you're right. And it is sad that when we compare, it does set us up to not feel good about ourselves,
Right.
right? Because I've even had people, they'll say, well, oh, it must be my problem. I don't know what's wrong with me. Well, how can she lose that weight so fast? And all these people that lose weight, and then I can't do it. And like you said, I mean, you've been working on this for 8 months.
Right. As a coach.
Yeah. Fully
Like,
informed.
I'm only saying as a coach is because I know what to do. I coach other people.
Which to me, when you're a coach, that's even more challenging, because when you know, and I talk about this a lot, and it's in the world of psychology, when you know something, right? And let's say this is the doing part. So knowing and doing, the bigger the gap is, right? So knowing something, but yet not doing it, you feel worse about yourself on the inside.
Yeah. Like
You're,
that is huge. I think like that's part of what was happening.
yes. And that gap gets bigger, and you fall out of love with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So then the goal is to bridge that gap. And many people don't get help. And so the gap gets wider and wider and wider. And then you almost become delusional, because you don't want to just raise your hand up and say, I give up. So what you'll do is, instead of getting help to bridge the gap, you'll look for other vehicles that you think will get you to where you want to be. Or in your mind, you go, you know what, maybe I'll do the GLP-1 just to get some momentum.
Just for a kickstart.
Yeah. And people will create this narrative to make it okay, instead of addressing that thing that's still going to be there. Even if they lose weight with you, you still got to come back to this.
Right.
And if you never bridge that gap between knowing and doing, you're just in disbelief. You've created a new paradigm where you think the world is a certain way, and inside you're screaming for help, and you're still not getting it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah. Now I do want to give a shout out, Bonnie, who's checking us out. Bonnie's one of my clients, and she is extremely caring, loving, always helping everybody type of person. And she says, I love this. I can relate. And you both are inspiring, strong truth tellers. I like that, truth teller. This is the very best kind of coaching to share. It is helping all of us. Thank you. So that's Bonnie. So say thank you.
Bonnie.
Thank you to Bonnie. Okay.
Well, I'm glad that it's helping, because I think that I don't know, like everybody's out there just pretending, right? And like, oh yeah, do this, do that, you know, like I mean, even, you know, I see it all up and down my page too. You know, somebody's selling this, somebody's selling that. But is it really working? Do you know what I mean? Like, is it really? And is that one thing? Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's, you know, like I see like my page full of, oh, do this peptide. I didn't do, you know, I didn't do those peptides. I'm not going to say it didn't cross my mind, like, because I'm like, oh yeah, you know what? Maybe that's what I need. Maybe it's a peptide. Maybe it's not just about eating this way. Maybe it's, you know, or getting my emotions in check, or dealing with all the other, you know, things going on in my life, or not actually that. I think it's coming to that, you know what? I can't fix everything. Like that's why I think, like when my friend sent that strong thing, like today, I couldn't see it then, but like that strong thing is so powerful. And I think like, especially for women, you know, like we are, you know, we're taking care of the house, we're taking care of the kids, we're taking care of my aunt explained it to me when I had my son, and when I had my son, and at that time I was a single mom, and my son's father and I, we have a great relationship now, and it wasn't like that in the beginning. But we put our son first. And you know, my aunt said to me, she's like, Lisa, you're gonna wear many hats, right? And this was after I had my son. She's like, you know, you're a mom, you're going to be a doctor, you're going to be, you know, you're a daughter, you know, you got your job, you got this, and you have all of these different hats to wear. But the most important hat that's going to be on your head is yours. And you can't take care of all of that other stuff until, you know, and be there and be the best at it unless you're taking care of your own hat. And so, like, when, you know, and that was when, with my son, especially when he was an infant, you know, like, and I remember her saying that to me. And you know, like, infants are hard, you know, it's constant. And when you're by yourself and you don't have anybody else there to help you, it's, you know, it's like, whoa. So after she said that to me, like, there would be times and I would just call my dad, you know, or I called somebody, I'd be like, listen, can you just, you know, stay here with Ryan? I just need to go for a drive. Like, my thing is drives. I love to go for drives. It's just something that relaxes me. So even if that like self-care, I guess you want to call it, right, is I just need 5 minutes to go for a drive. I need 5 minutes to go for a walk, because we want to be, and I know men are like this too, but for women and that nurturing side of us, like, we want to fix everything. We want to be there. We want to do, and we're always giving, I think many of us, from at least the women I talk to, we're always doing for others, and we neglect ourselves along the way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, as a mom, it's like, my son is eating, you know, his protein, his slow carbs, you know, his veggies. I'm making sure that he's doing all of that because my son eats this way, but I'm not making sure that I'm doing it. You know,
Right.
I'm taking care of him first, instead of doing it myself sometimes, because there's just too much going on. And I think, like, therein lies the problem,
Right.
you know?
Okay. So with this coming week, so let's do a little review. So this
Right.
past week, were you able to get in some walks? Did you exercise at all?
This week, no, but it is my goal. I mean, last week, no, I didn't.
Okay. So the focus was, I mean, which I love. I mean, personally, I think first focus on the food,
Mm-hmm.
get momentum there, and then think about, like, all right, so what can I do maybe this week where I can bump up my activity?
Right. So this week, I am starting to go back to the gym, but I'm not stressing myself out over it, because I think that was another thing. I was like, okay, I have to do this program and I have to complete this program. Like, I don't. At this point, it's like, if I get 15 minutes in the gym, even if I just walk on the treadmill, that will be enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I know that there's other things that I need to do. I know that strength training is important, right? So now I'm speaking to, like, coaches who are going through this too, because we know that we need to do all those things and we need to increase our muscle mass, and especially as we get older. But sometimes you just have to go back to basics. And you know what? A 15-minute walk is better than nothing at all.
Amen. And I love that. You know, I'm an advocate of that. I think taking your time, knowing that in time I will have an additional momentum.
Right.
But right now, even thinking about it and saying, you know what? Because I love that. Like here's something that I'll tell people just for their own knowledge is I had this one client named Kathy, and Kathy was 449 pounds. Okay. And she goes, okay, do I got to exercise? And like, she was ready to do everything when I first met her, right? And I said, well, no, let's focus on the food first. Now, as her coach, of course, I could go, oh, yeah, well, let's exercise. Let's eat this. Then I could really overwhelm her because she's ready for it all. And I didn't even say, I said, let's focus on the food first. Let's work on getting in 3 fat burning meals a day. Right. And this is what a snack looks like if you get hungry. Well, after about, I know she was down about 60 pounds and she brought it up again. Actually, I said, you know what do you think about being a little bit more active? She goes, you know what? I have a gym membership. I've had it for 3 years and I never go. And it's really cheap. I don't pay much. So this is what I told her to do. I said, can you go to the gym twice a week and walk for 12 minutes and then get off of the treadmill and leave? She was like, I can do more than 12 minutes. I said, I know you can, but can you just do 12 minutes and leave? And I explained to her that when you're getting back into exercise and you can be consistent, you're going to get benefit even if you do less. And then you can slowly build up. And that means you'll constantly get benefit, right? Meaning it'll help with weight loss. It'll help with mood as you slowly progress. Because if you run in and do an hour walk today and you're just getting back into it, you'll get some benefit, but then your body's going to adapt to that hour. And now in order to get the same benefits, it's either got to be a faster hour as far as doing more, or maybe you got to go to an hour and 10 minutes. So why not do less in the beginning and get the benefits of less and then slowly progress upward? That's the lesson. And it goes with this thing called neuromuscular adaptation. And that's what we did. So next thing you know, she did 3 times a week at 12 minutes. Then we made it a goal to go up to 24 minutes. She did that for a while. Then she went up to 36 minutes, did that for a while. And next thing you know, she was that lady in there like 5 days a week, making it happen.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, and that's what I learned. It was like, even with food, right? Because I think even the first week, it's like protein and slow carbs, which are basically your veggies and berries. And I knew that, I could sit there and I can steam up some broccoli, and have some chicken and, whatever. But, I wasn't into like looking up recipes and, like making it taste really good and all of that. So for me last week, what I could do was go to Uncle Giuseppe's and get prepackaged, already made, my veggies. I got Brussels sprouts and, there's spaghetti squash. I'll just say it was amazing. But like, that was what I was able to do.
Nice. Now what's going to be different this week with nutrition? Are you going to bring in any fast carbs? Or are you going to keep it where it is?
I did bring in yesterday, right? Because I know I did bring in a fast carb yesterday. And I don't know. I think right now I feel better with just my protein and my slow carbs. Mm-hmm. One thing that I noticed, so like in this, let me just say this, like, so besides the weight, besides, the body fat percentage that came down, right, from 27, 28 to 25 as well. I've been on famotidine for acid reflux. And I have not had to take the famotidine.
Oh, nice.
I have not taken famotidine, I don't know, since last Tuesday. So I don't have acid reflux. But what I did notice was that when I added in, I had a half of a roll yesterday, and with my egg salad, and I felt the reflux a little bit. Mm-hmm. Like later on in the day, I didn't take the famotidine, but I'm starting to realize my body, I think, as well, right? Like this week and kind of cutting things out. I'm kind of even seeing like which foods are actually affecting me. And I think that some foods were a big part of my reflux because I have not had reflux. I've had to take no medication.
Okay, that's a win.
Yeah. So thank you.
All right. So the
Thank
goal is we're going to go with what you're saying. Sounds great. And then we'll check in next week, right?
Yes.
But congratulations. I mean,
you.
I can feel the momentum. Excited for you, and we'll just keep it moving, you guys. And you got a lot of people supporting you, and happy that you're sharing. And thank you for being so kind and sharing your journey, because it's inspiring other people to get back on the horse. Some that have fallen off.
Well, I'm glad that I can help inspire, and thank you all for joining us here. And Robert, thank you.
All right. Well, and then when we have time, you and I, let's catch up on some other things I want to update you on. Okay.
Absolutely. Sounds good.
All right, everybody. I want to say thank you all for tuning in. This is Roberto and Lisa. Maybe one of these days we'll get back on Telegram and talk about some crazy stuff.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Okay. All right, you guys, we're out of here. Have a good day. God
Bye-bye.
bless. Bye-bye.
World of dice is a new way to see. No more counting calories, just living free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat food right. Teaching you to pair food with each bite. Balancing our body's microbiome, feeling so right.